Kyle Shanahan giving us an update on Christian McCaffrey's health heading into week 1.
Just having a player like him, to be the offensive MVP 1 year and then really miss the whole next year, it was really tough on him and tough on us. And I knew Christian was back just once he told me he was healthy. It's not like we were thinking he wouldn't come back from it. You hope that stuff, the arthritis and everything goes away, which it usually does. And he was telling us that early in the off season, so I felt pretty good about it. And Christian's not a liar, so I didn't think he was. And then we saw him early in OTAs. He looked like the guy we've always known, and he's continued that.
Okay, one of the most trustworthy men in America when it comes to health status is Kyle Shanahan. But Matthew, Christian McCaffrey, he headlines the love list.
Yeah, listen, Jay, I have a bunch of stats about Christian McCaffrey. Do you need me to read the stats? Do you need me to tell you how good he is? Do you need stats? Do you need me to tell you that the 3 games that he did play last year, he saw 88% of the snaps? Do you need me to tell you that he's played 31 games with the 49ers and he's got 31 touchdowns in those games? Do you need me to tell you that the Seahawks are bottom 10 receiving yards and yards per reception? So it's actually a great matchup for a pass-catching running back, especially one as talented as Christian McCaffrey. You don't need me to tell you that. So I'm just going to say CMC is healthy. I have him at running back 4 this week, but there's a very real possibility that he ends the week as the number 1 running back in fantasy and that he gets back out there and reminds everyone, oh, yeah, he's that dude. So I'm in on CMC this year. I get it. You can't trust Kyle Shanahan as far as you can throw him, especially when it comes to Christian McCaffrey's health. Fantasy managers have been burned many times before, but I'm in this year, and especially this week, he leads my love list. Monster game coming for CMC on Sunday, and I say he gets into the end zone to help me in my touchdown parlay competition with LeBron James.
Okay, 1, good LeBron James reference. 2, would like to see you try and throw Kyle Shanahan. Might put some unwanted strain on those ankles of yours. How are you feeling about Christian McCaffrey?
Yeah, I don't think he'll be much on the love list after this because it's going to become so obvious, but I think he has to be here for week 1 because fantasy managers, some are still concerned about the injuries, but like Matthew said, when he was in the game last year, they worked that man, and that's what they're going to do this year. Again, remember, look, they lost Deebo Samuel. He was a part of that running game, so CMC is going to be dependent upon more than ever, along with Brock Purdy. So look for CMC to bounce back if he stays healthy.
Yep, no, I like it. I think Christian McCaffrey, one of the highest floors in fantasy, naturally. We're going to do something a little bit different this year where Lawrence and I are going to give out some of our love picks so Matthew doesn't have a monopoly. But before we get to that, Jonathan Medic17, Comic Havilon, which is a very strange thing to say, says from YouTube, CMC stats are like berries in the League of A-Holes 1.1. Strange name and poor comment from Jonathan Medic.
No,
how we get that
awesome.
Up here?
Yeah.
No, that's amazing. That guy's awesome. The regulars are awesome. We love the regulars. I miss them here in Philadelphia.
Okay. All right. Well, my first guy on the love list, Chase Brown, who was interested to see what his props are going to open up at DraftKings. He's set at 68.5 rushing yards, 20.5 receiving yards, and he's minus 155 to score a touchdown. So basically looking at around 90 scrimmage yards and a 60% chance of a touchdown. This is like RB1 type of projections, and he comes in at number 7 in Matthew's running back rankings for week 1, which I think is very justified. Now, we don't think of Chase Brown in terms of just name recognition in the same vein as guys like Christian McCaffrey, Derrick Henry, even Ashton Genty before he's played a snap, but I think that he is going to rival some of those guys in fantasy, and I think it's a fairly favorable matchup against the Browns because 1, the Bengals, 5.5-point road favorites, so they should have game script with them. And then secondly, Joe Burrow's stats were fine against Cleveland last year, but they weren't high volume, at least relative to his other performances, because he's got Myles Garrett going up against a very suspect offensive line. So I think they'll lean on Chase Brown both in the run game and in the pass game, and it'll start off what I think will be a season, Matthew, where Chase Brown ultimately ends as a top 10 running back.
Chase Brown was on the preseason love list, and I agree with you. This is one of the higher over-unders on the slate. And they're favorites as well. They're 5.5-point favorites, so you expect them to lean on the run, especially in the second half. But I agree with you. Like, if there's one thing that, Cleveland's offense, we have question marks about. We'll see what it looks like under Joe Flacco, comeback player of the year Joe Flacco this year. But we know that defense is legit, and Myles Garrett and team are going to come after Joe Burrow. So given the struggles of that offensive line, I could see quick dump-offs to Chase Brown. I could see them wanting to establish the run. And so I'm with you. Obviously, Chase Brown is a, top 7 play for me this week. And when you talk those lines, like 20.5 receiving yards, that seems low to me on DraftKings. I like the over there especially.
Yep.
Yeah, just the opportunity for Chase Brown to continue to show that he's their full-time running back, no committee there. He'll be spelled a little bit, and even if the Cleveland Browns with that good defensive front can stop the run, again, he's a guy that you could dump him off the ball and he could create yards that way. And Matthew, I'm with you too. I think that 20.5 may be too low. He could probably get that on a single play.
Okay, our man Johnny Dangerly from YouTube. Chase Brown should be called the Gobbler because he's going to gobble up receptions. I like it. Any kind of nickname that ends with "le," I'm a big fan of Gobbler to go with the Chubbler. Multiple Chubblers at this point.
Do you think, Jay? Do you think Chase Brown would enjoy being known that somebody wants to nickname him the Gobbler? Do you think any? Do you think? I just don't know that. That's the kind of nickname that a lot of guys would like.
I don't think nobody. Look, his last name Brown too. Imagine being called the Brown Gobbler. You definitely don't want to be that.
But by the way, the Brown Gobbler sounds like a rejected Batman villain, right?
Yeah.
Who did this? It's the work of the Brown Gobbler.
It's the Brown Gobbler.
Oh no. Oh, the Brown Gobbler has struck again. Curses.
And Matthew, I know this. You're definitely referring to 1960s Adam West Batman.
Yeah,
when we talk about that, yeah.
Yeah. Actually, you know what? It's not even a Batman villain. It's like a Scooby-Doo villain. It's like Shaggy. This looks like the work of the Brown Gobbler. I'm just, this is
atrocious.
Yeah,
I think something's
anyway,
been created here.
I appreciate the regulars chiming in. I'm going to reject on Chase Brown's behalf the nickname the Gobbler or the Brown Gobbler.
Yeah, speaking of the Gobbler and the Chubbler, by the way, I was excited to see a report that Carolina doesn't want to run Chuba dry. In 2025, the Chubbler doesn't want to run dry. We'll check in on his dryness, wetness as the season goes on. Matthew, James Conner, a champion of the show.
So hang on. So just so you know, we're dry Chubbler and Brown Gobbler at that portion of the show. In case, Adam Wise, producer Adam Wise, when you're doing the YouTube description later, you can mark this. This is the Brown Gobbler and dry Chubbler part of the conversation. Yeah. Just go ahead and mark that in the time code.
Yeah. All right. Yeah. James Conner, Matthew, friend of the show, perennially underrated. I feel like we're high. As a team consensus, we think that James Conner is going to outperform ADP every year, and now coming in as almost a 7-point favorite in New Orleans, he should have game script on his side.
Not only game script on his side, but matchup on his side. Last year, no team in the NFL, Jay, no team in the NFL gave up more rushing touchdowns than the New Orleans Saints, than your New Orleans Saints. Who dat? Seriously, who dat? Who dat gonna stop James Conner when he gets the ball in close? Because last year, James Conner saw 76%. You heard me, 76% of the Cardinals' goal-to-go rushing attempts. That was the 6th highest rate among running backs in the NFL. When they get in close, they like to run. They like to run with James Conner, and they're going to be successful against your New Orleans Saints, especially, as you mentioned, as a big, almost a touchdown favorite here against the Saints.
Yeah, it could be tough sledding for my Saints in week 1. Don't love the matchup with Arizona. Lawrence, let's go to my former team, the New York Giants, who actually became my team again.
Because they're still your team.
Yeah, I also actually, just before we got on air, I literally did place a wager on the New York Giants to make the playoffs at plus 600, which is not saying they're going to win the division, just make the playoffs, Matthew, at plus 600 on the back of that defense. And potentially with a little help from their running back, Tyrone Tracy.
Yeah, Tyrone Tracy here. When you talk about him just having that lead role in the Giants' offensive backfield, now the Giants' offensive line leaves a little bit to be desired. We still have to see what's going on there, but he'll have the opportunity against a Commanders defense that was bottom half in run defense last year. Now, look, they added Von Miller, they added Javon Kinlaw, but how much we have to see how much that helps in the run game. Like, is Javon Kinlaw better than Jonathan Allen? I don't think so. So you look at their last 3 games in the playoffs. Now, Tyrone Tracy isn't Bucky Irvin or Saquon Barkley or Gibbs, but in those 3 playoff games, they allowed an average of 100 rushing yards per game to the opposing team's leading running back. So Tyrone Tracy, based on his usage in the preseason, he's going to have some opportunities here against this Commanders defense.
Yep, Matthew, the Giants as well, inching towards being only 5.5-point dogs against your Commanders. So
nervous?
Game script isn't going to be so cruel.
No, I don't think so. Their defense is going to keep them in it. I'm a little nervous, right? And again, the offensive line with Washington, we'll wait to see how good that is. It's a little bit banged up. So I do think Tyrone Tracy, to your point, this is a divisional road game for the Giants. Cam Scadaboo has missed a lot of camp. So what do they want to do? I think there's a chance that Devin Singletary actually gets more run than Scadaboo in this game, just because you're on the road against a tough divisional foe. You're going to want guys that you can trust in the backfield there. And as you mentioned, currently 6-point underdogs. Maybe it moves to 5.5, but they're going to want to keep it close. They're going to want to try to keep Jaden Daniels off the field. How do you do that? You run the ball. You try to control the clock. So Tyrone Tracy, who's such a good pass catcher in the backfield, may not come off the field all that often, even if they do get down by a touchdown or more. I like the call by Lawrence here because I do think Tyrone Tracy gets a pretty nice workload in a matchup that doesn't scare you.
Yep, Tyrone Tracy said it. About 13 receiving yards on DraftKings, 12.5 backed over, 58.5 rushing yards. Question from Apex Fuzi. I believe that's our first ever question from Apex Fuzi. Would remember that name. Tyrone Tracy or Travis Hunter, Matthew?
I would go with Travis Hunter. I agree with everything Lawrence just said, but I think that Jacksonville-Carolina game is going to be a shootout. 46.5 is the over-under. I would take the over there. I think 2 good offenses with 2 suspect defenses, candidly. And I think first game out, Travis, they're going to want to show off Travis Hunter. I really think that. I think they're going to want to try to get him in the end zone. So I think I've been on board with this. Connor yesterday called him his offensive rookie of the year. That's what he thinks Travis Hunter is. I agreed with that call. So give me Travis Hunter here. I think it's close, but Lawrence, I don't know if you agree here, but I'd go Hunter if I had this decision.
Well, I agree with everything I said before, too, Matthew, about Tyrone Tracy, but I also agree with you here with Travis Hunter. Again, this over-under in this game is 47.5. You got Bryce Young, who's played well at the end of last season. You got Trevor Lawrence looking to bounce back. He's got Brian Thomas already emerging as one of the best guys. And then we're talking about Travis Hunter. Again, they drafted him number 2 overall. They're getting him the ball. I don't see how he gets less than 5 catches in this game. So Travis Hunter over Tyrone Tracy for me as well.
Yep, I like it. All right, let's get to some others receiving votes. Matthew, headlined by another Offensive Rookie of the Year candidate in Travion Henderson.
Yeah, look, we saw this in the preseason, just how much they used him, right? 44% of his routes, he was targeted on 44% of his routes in the preseason. Raiders actually struggle against pass-catching running backs. They struggle, honestly, in a lot of different areas. Last year, they were the 5th. They gave up the 5th most running back rushes of 20 or more yards. So we know Travion Henderson has this big play ability. I think Drake May, I think the Patriots have a big game against the Las Vegas Raiders. How about Jerome Ford in that Cincinnati game where we expect a lot of back and forth? I think Ford's going to be the lead running back here. Cincinnati allowed the 3rd highest catch rate to running backs last season as well, so Ford's going to be out there on all 3 downs. How about Austin Eckler facing Tyrone Tracy? For all the talk about Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt and Jeremy McNichols and Chris Rodriguez, Eckler is the guy that's the best running back and the veteran. So I think early on in the season they lean on him. Giants, by the way, bottom 10 last year in most receptions and receiving yards allowed to running backs. And how about Jordan Mason, right? Last year, the Bears allowed running back rushing touchdowns at the 4th highest rate. Jordan Mason is going to be the goal line back behind an improved Vikings offensive line. So I do believe Jordan Mason gets into the end zone this week, and they use Jones more as a pass catcher. Mason will be the 1st and 2nd down guy this year. So those are the guys. The others receiving votes on the running back category for Week 1's love-hate.
Yep, Jordan Mason is plus 170 to get in the end zone on DraftKings. His odds, Aaron Jones is plus 165. I think Jordan Mason, to your point, I think he is actually more likely to score a touchdown because of the goal line work there. And I think as well, Kevin O'Connell has spoken about all offseason how he wants to run the ball more, how he got away from his identity a bit last year. And he's backed that up with his actions in terms of fortifying interior offensive line and bringing in Jordan Mason. Let's
and Jay, by the way, just real quickly, think think about that game logically.
Yep.
The game's in Chicago. It's always a tough place to play. It's J.J. McCarthy's first start as an NFL player. They're on the road at a divisional rival with J.J. McCarthy. What are they going to want to do? They're going to want to run the ball. They're going to want to try to take pressure off McCarthy, try to take the crowd out of it, try to lower the, slow the pace of play. So I do think Mason gets a pretty nice workload against the Bears on Sunday.
Yep. It's going to be overreaction city, whatever the result is, and whoever the losing quarterback
definitely on that game.
It's going to be game over for Ben Johnson or J.J. McCarthy.
And remember, J.J. McCarthy is still essentially he's a rookie.
Yeah, he's a rookie.
Hey, it's Matthew Berry from NBCSports.com and RotorWorld.com, and I want to thank you so much for watching whatever it is you just watched, or if nothing else, being too lazy to click out of the autoplay after this video started, after whatever it is you actually wanted to watch finished. But now that you're here, I'd like to take a moment here to ask you respectfully now, okay? I'm asking you respectfully to subscribe to the NFL on NBC YouTube channel. You'll get the latest Roto-World fantasy news headlines, all sorts of great shows, including my own Fantasy Football Happy Hour. So go subscribe now. Again, I'm asking respectfully.